Hey, I'm Adam Jusko from ProbMoney.com. In this video, we are going to answer the question, should your credit cards come from different companies, or perhaps should you be loyal to one in particular? But before we do that, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already. And if you have already, I thank you for doing so. So I was talking to someone this weekend who was telling me they got their first credit card from Chase and that recently they had gotten a second credit card from Chase and they wanted to get another credit card from Chase in the future. And so their plan was to not get credit cards from any other companies, and that would hopefully increase the chances that they would get approved from Chase a third time. And they knew that Chase had this 524 rule where you weren't supposed to get too many credit cards from Chase and other companies within a 2-year period. So they thought the fewer credit cards they got, the better the chances were that Chase was going to approve them in the future, which perhaps is true. Perhaps they did have an increased chance of Chase approving them if there were no other credit card companies they were dealing with. But when they asked me if I thought this was a good strategy, I said, no, not really. I said, that's no knock on Chase. They have good credit cards. They maybe have the best credit cards on the market, but I would not want to choose just one bank and only get credit cards from them. And this person asked me, why not? And I said, well, there's multiple reasons, but to me, your loyalty to any one bank is not necessarily going to be reciprocated. The bank would like you to think that they are very loyal to you, but in many cases they are not going to be. One of the things we've seen over the last year, and in particular as I'm making this video over the last 9 months or so, is that some of the major credit card issuers have cut credit lines fairly significantly. So if you are the customer of a bank and you have multiple credit cards with them and they decide they're going to cut credit lines, well, that means they may be cutting the credit lines on more than one credit card of yours, and that could hurt the amount of available credit you have overall very significantly. Where if you had credit cards from more than one credit card company, if one of them decides to cut your credit line, you still have the other credit card. It's not going to hurt you quite as much. For people that have a lot of available credit, that's probably not a big deal. But if you are someone that has lower credit lines, to lose a significant chunk of your credit across the board could hurt your buying power, for one thing, because you just would not have that much available credit to begin with. But it could even hurt you if you are going after other credit cards or loans in the future, because you could be using more of your available credit now because those credit lines have come down so much. So your credit utilization ratio goes up, and if you decide you're going to get another credit card to make up for the one that slashed your credit limit, well, then maybe you won't be approved because it's going to look like you are using a lot of the credit available to you. Or maybe if you're going after a mortgage or you're going after an auto loan and it looks like you are using more of the credit than makes sense for them when they are giving out those auto loans or mortgage loans, well, then maybe that can hurt you in terms of approvals or even the interest rates that you get. So when you have different credit cards, it's not usually, or credit cards from different credit card companies, it's not usually going to hurt you as much if one of them decides to slash your credit lines. If you are completely in with just one card company, well, then obviously it can hurt you more. Now, another reason it's good to have cards from separate companies is because you never know when a credit card company is going to decide that one of your purchases looks fraudulent, and they're going to A, not let the transaction go through, B, shut down that card and any other cards that you might have with them until they have heard from you and until they're assured that that transaction was legitimate. So if you are in a case where that happens to you and you only have cards from one credit card company, well, then everything is shut down until you talk to them. If you have cards from another bank that is unrelated, well, then you could just simply pull out that card and use it instead and deal with that, potential fraudulent transaction situation with the first bank later. For many people, this might not seem like a big deal, but maybe if you are in a situation where you really want to get a transaction done quickly, or if it's just sort of inconvenient or maybe even embarrassing to be in that situation, you would rather have a second card that you can quickly use instead. Maybe you're traveling and you need to get a transaction done quickly and you'd rather just pull out a second card than have to get on the phone and try to get someone to iron out the situation. Maybe you're just at a restaurant and for whatever reason your card gets turned down, and it would be nice to just pull out a second card instead of having to get on the phone with the credit card company just to get a simple transaction pushed through. So not a big deal in many cases, but still fairly inconvenient in some cases to have cards from only one company and be sort of stuck if they decide that something looks fraudulent. So those are the two major reasons why I think you don't want to have credit cards from just one credit card company. You don't want to have all your eggs in one basket, so if something goes wrong, you are somewhat at the mercy of just one credit card company instead of having a fallback. But there are some other reasons too that I like to have cards from more than one company. One of them is the fact that if I am dealing with more than one credit card company, well then I kind of know the market overall a little bit better in terms of what is happening with rewards or benefits or whatever with the different credit cards that are out there. If I'm only with one company, I may sort of assume that they are, sort of in step with all the other credit card companies and they are increasing their rewards or increasing their benefits or whatever in step with everybody else, but maybe they're not. I don't know for sure because I don't know what the other card companies are doing, but if I have cards from multiple companies, I can kind of see, here's what's happening overall in the market. There's more rewards happening over here, or these are kind of new benefits now, like cell phone insurance over the last couple of years. That is something that a lot of card companies have added. But if you only had one, card issuer and you never got cards from anyone else, you might not even know that that was something that had changed in the market and something that you could potentially get your hands on. So for me, obviously I make these videos, so it's good for me to know all these things. But even as just a regular card holder, it's good to know these things so that you don't just have one card company and you just believe that whatever they're doing is probably the same as what everybody else is doing. And then somewhat related to that is the idea that credit card companies want you to believe that loyalty to them will result in more rewards for you, and that is simply not always the case. Now, there are certain credit card companies that will give you more if you have more of a relationship with them. If you have bank accounts with them and you have a certain amount invested with that company, then maybe you will get more on your credit cards. Bank of America, a very good example. If you have X amount of dollars with them in other accounts, you'll get more rewards on your credit cards. But oftentimes being loyal to a credit card company is actually going to be worse for you than being disloyal to a credit card company, because sometimes credit card companies are going to give you better offers if they know that there are competitors out there on the market, that you're holding cards from other credit card companies and they want you to put more of your spend on their cards. So if you have cards that are sort of competitive to theirs in your wallet, they are going to work harder to get you to use their card than they would if all of the cards in your wallet came from them. Why give you more necessarily or incent you to use their cards more when they're already getting all of your credit card spend? For example, as I make this video, I'm in the middle of a, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 month period where I'm getting a 4% reward on everything I purchase with the Amazon Rewards Visa. And I got that special offer, a targeted offer from Chase and from Amazon, I assume because I had been using that card, but I hadn't been using it a ton and I had other cards in my wallet. Well, they give me the incentive there to use that card in particular, and it worked. That is the card that I am using the most right now. But if I had, only other Chase cards, is there that much incentive to give me a targeted offer when they already know that they're getting all the money that I am spending with my credit cards? Probably not. Now, I don't really want to suggest that disloyalty is better than loyalty as a character trait in general, but when it comes to your credit cards, sometimes that is the case. If there is competition for your credit card dollar among different credit card companies, well, then each of them has a little more incentive to try to get you to use their credit card over the other ones. Yes, loyalty can be good if your credit card company is giving you something more for being loyal, but in many cases, they are almost penalizing you for being loyal because they don't have to work to get you to use their cards. So that's it. Loyalty is good, but often it is also good to have a backup plan, which is why I believe that you should have cards from more than one credit card company. If you have thoughts about this, either pro or con what I have said, I'd love to hear them in the comments, or if there are other reasons that it is good to have more than one credit card company you're dealing with, love to hear those as well. Put those in the comments. Otherwise, I thank you for watching, and as always, please go to proudmoney.com where we do credit card reviews, we talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. Thanks for watching. Bye.